Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of a Burlingame It's a Small Town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. This is Mark Lucchese, also known as Mark at the Mic, and my guest today, Allan Stanbridge, has run the equivalent of 5 times around the world, competing locally, regionally, and internationally, logging over 125,000 miles, spanning over 45 years. Allan has been a longtime resident of Burlingame. He began his teaching career in 1971 at Cappuccino High School and taught there for 18 years before moving on to several other Peninsula high schools. He is also a member of the 2016 Burlingame High School Hall of Fame. He and his wife, Chris, have been married for 56 years and have raised 2 daughters, Tracy and Erin. And now my conversation with the amazing Allan Stanbridge. Allan Stanbridge, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, Allan, did you know that we're going to have some fun today?
I hope so.
You bet. Okay. Hey, how was my intro? Was everything okay?
It was good. I just was going to say that the Hall of Fame, it was because it was in the Athletic Hall of Fame, and I was one of the coaches on a girls' softball team that was inducted. So the team was inducted into the Hall of Fame. But
because you were a coach, you got in.
I was part of it.
Wonderful. So, okay. Did you get a swim in today?
I didn't. I had my hair cut down in San Carlos. By the time I got home, I had to wait. My wife went to Kaiser. She came and picked me up by the time I get home, and then up here, it was too late.
Right.
But I walked up here, so.
But you're swimming out at Coyote Point, out on the bay, right?
Yeah, well, because usually I'm a member of the Burlingame Aquatic Club Masters team.
Right.
And I usually go at 11 a.m., but because of the PE classes are using it, there was no swimming for 7 weeks. So I started going to Coyote Point.
How often you get over there?
Well, right now I was over there every day.
Allan, you're out there by yourself? Are you swimming with a group, or are you just swimming by yourself?
No, I just swim by myself.
Okay.
On the weekends, there are quite, a few triathlon clubs that come out.
Right.
And so sometimes there might be 30, 40 people.
Okay.
But everybody just kind of...
When you're out there swimming by yourself, you're not worried about any stingrays coming by you?
No, they have no. I go out of ways.
Sharks or anything like that?
No, they're fishermen over the years, and I used to run there all the time.
Right.
They catch sea bass, and they're nothing like that.
You've never had an encounter?
Never.
That's amazing to me. And you have a little buoy, I think. But so people can see you out there.
Inflatable buoy about 2 feet, and you could see it for safety. And then if you had a cramp or something, you can put your arms across it and keep yourself up above the water.
Great.
And so I swim out from shore. Sometimes I don't go further than when I can stand up to my neck.
Right. And then are you one of those swimmers that goes, uses the head both ways, or what is it?
No, when I learned as a kid, I just breathe on the left side.
Right. So, but you're keeping your eye on the shore, right? As a line or what?
No, I just,
really?
Every 3 or 4 strokes, I look up and make sure I'm headed in the right direction.
Okay, good.
So...
Well, Allan, I want you to know that I don't swim anywhere where I can't see the lines at the bottom of the pool, okay? That's how I am, and you blow my mind. But anyway. All right, you ready to get this on?
I am.
Great. So you've been a part of this Burlingame community for many years, decades,
yes.
I guess. And I would just like to know, and our listeners would like to know, how did you and Chris first come and settle here in Burlingame?
Well, I taught at Cappuccino High School. I started in 1971. And we lived up in the Sunset District of San Francisco. We bought, after a couple of apartments, Chris's parents moved to Marin, and they helped us, along with my parents, to buy their house in the Sunset District. And so we had a nice 3-bedroom house, typical Sunset. And I would come down to Cappuccino every day, and then I used to teach summer school, driver's ed, and I'd come home. The weather down here was beautiful. As soon as I'd hit Daly City, the fog bank would hit. And after a couple of years, I said, Chris, there's another world out there. So one of the guys that I used to teach with left teaching and went into his family business, and that was Don Lemby, who was a former councilman of Burlingame and mayor, and he had a real estate. So I said, Don, find us a house. And so he found us a house. He used to, in fact, live on the street, Lexington. in the Burlingame Gables. And so he showed us a couple of houses, and we bought it and moved in.
Yeah.
We've been here
right.
ever since. The best thing we ever did.
Oh, for sure. And thank you for bringing up a great memory of Don Lemby.
Yes.
He was a friend of mine for many years. We
Yeah.
coached a little bit together, Rotary and all that good
Yes.
stuff. Terrific guy. Yeah. Chris taught what at OL, Our Lady of Angels Catholic Elementary School here in Burlingame.
That was
right?
her last job.
Yeah.
She started teaching at St. Thomas the Apostle in the city, and then we had children, so she was a stay-at-home mom. And then she went back for years. She was the director of Project Read for the San Mateo library system. Then she decided to go back into teaching, so she taught at St. Dunstan in Millbrae. And then she left there and finished her career at Our Lady of Angels.
Yeah, that's
I forget
great.
what grade she was, but she moved in. She was the computer teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, sidebar to that, my brother
Yes.
taught at Our Lady of Angels
Yeah.
back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, before moving to the Valley. But your daughters, Aaron and Tracy,
Yes.
they both graduated from Burlingame
Yes,
High
they
School.
did.
Were they athletes like you?
Oh, yeah. They both started playing bobby sock softball in Burlingame. And I think we coached along with Nancy Lindstrom, Don Lindstrom's wife, and Terry Lemby. Our daughters played on it. I was the coach when the girls were they were 6 years old. And from then, at junior high, high school, they played volleyball, basketball, softball. And so that's what Tracy did. And then when Erin came along, she did the same. And Tracy was the freshman girl athlete of the year when she was there. And Erin was one of just a few girls to be the female athlete of the year for all 4 years.
All 4 years?
All 4 years. And she was
Wow.
later inducted into the Burlingame Athletic Hall of Fame.
Hey, just like her dad.
Well, yeah, I was just a coach. She
Yeah, but
was an
that's
athlete.
okay, Alan. You're there, man. That's all that
So,
matters,
yeah.
right? No kidding. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So what did Erin do? Play a basketball? Was her thing basketball or what?
Erin's best was basketball.
Yeah.
Tracy's was softball. Tracy played 4 years of softball at Loyola Marymount University.
Really?
And Erin wasn't offered any scholarships or any, but there was a great coach at Foothill College, and she went there. This woman had players from all around the country and 2 foreign players. And she said, if you play for me for 2 years, I will find you a scholarship. And they were a good team. They lost in the state community college finals. And sure enough, Erin was offered 3 scholarships at small Division I schools. And she was just tired of it because she said, sports in college or whatever is your whole life. It's 10 months a year.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was it.
So did she play in college then?
No,
she didn't.
she left.
Okay.
And one thing about the community college, she had all her courses taken before 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
never in the summer, and finished everything and went to UCLA.
Oh,
And that's where
fantastic.
she graduated.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So one from Loyola Marymount in Los
Yeah.
Angeles,
Yes.
and the other one at UCLA.
Yeah, so by the end of it, we knew LA like,
I bet.
yeah.
Congratulations
Thank
to you
you.
and Chris. That's huge. Yeah. All right. You taught at Cappuccino High School.
Yes.
18 years,
Yes,
1971.
yes, my
Right.
first year.
And you taught at other high schools on the peninsula for several years as well,
yes,
right?
yeah.
How many years altogether?
I had 44 years.
44 years of teaching and coaching
Yes.
altogether.
Yes.
Wow. During all those 44 or
Yes.
45 years that you were
Yeah.
teaching and coaching, what were some of the subjects you taught and some of the sports you were coaching?
Well, I was hired by Paul Claudin, who was the former principal at Cappuccino for years, and then he was the personnel director. And I was hired to teach physical education and coach the lightweight basketball team and the boys swimming team. And after my first year, I think Proposition 13 came in, and they had to make cuts. And so my second year, I was placed in the English department, where I taught 3 English classes, or 4, and 1 safety ed, driver's ed, and I did that for about 10 years.
The safety ed, the driving class,
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Did you get in the car with the kids and drive them around, or what? Was that a classroom situation?
Part of it was like we did the vehicle code in the classroom. We had a textbook, and then later we taught alcohol, drugs, tobacco, and at the times they had a crew of guys with cars and a driving simulator, which was a trailer, and they would come to your school for 6 weeks. And so all the safety ed, the driver's ed class would go out and drive or go in the simulator. So I had a car for the teacher, the classroom teacher, and for 6 weeks I'd just take 4 kids out in the car and drive for the whole period.
Was that like nerve-wracking though, man? I mean, come on. Would you drive down Cappuccino Drive?
Well, I used to ask my students, not all of them sometimes we'd get juniors and seniors who couldn't fit it in. Normally kids took it as sophomores. So a lot of kids already had their driver's license and they just needed it to graduate.
Right.
So I'd go around and I'd say, which students have the driver's license?
Yeah.
And I'd take all those kids, or the 4 that I took.
Yeah.
And so it was safe. And we used to go all over the peninsula.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Great.
it was fun.
What were some of the things you coached? What were some of the, sports?
Oh, well, I started with lightweight basketball, swimming, and then Title IX came in, so lightweight basketball was no more. Girls volleyball took over, and I started to run myself, and so I became the cross-country coach in the fall, and then in the spring, I was the long-distance running coach in the track. And then all of a sudden, they needed, the second year of Title IX, they needed a girls basketball coach at Cappuccino. So I coached girls basketball for about 8 or 10 years at Cappuccino.
Yeah.
And then later, at one point, before I coached cross country, or maybe after, I can't remember, Vince Markey, the old coach at Cappuccino, got me to coach freshman football. And I said, Vince, I never played football. I was a little guy. He taught me, and I taught with a veteran teacher, Bill Greenleaf, who was a counselor, had been there forever. So the two of us were the freshman football. He was the coach. I was just, we never had less than 100 students on the team.
What?
Football in those days at Cappuccino, it was unbelievable.
100?
100.
Wow.
We'd have a uniform sometimes we'd have to borrow helmets from.
And public school, excuse me, Allan, there was no cuts, right? Everybody,
no,
if you show up,
especially
you're playing.
Football.
Right.
And it was fun. I mean, we had great teams. The old Cappuccino before Crestmore closed was a different place.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
Wow.
And then at Burlingame, I'd stopped coaching at Cap when I got taught at the different high schools, adapted physical. They said, your daughter's here, your younger daughter, you have to coach here. So I ended up coaching girls basketball and girls softball.
Man.
And that's how I finished.
You were like a coach for all seasons, huh?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people did that.
Yeah. All right, Allan, what do you say we talk about the 125,000 running man, okay? 45 years of running or more?
It was probably closer now, 50.
Yeah, 50.
Yeah.
Wow. But when we talked last week, when
Yes.
you and I were talking on the street last week, when I met you over there, actually at Coyote
Yes.
Point, you told me you were a swimmer and a water polo player in high school and college. Is that right?
Well, they didn't have water polo in high school, but I was age group swimmer, high school swimmer, and then I went to San Francisco State, and the coach got me to go out for water polo, and so I played 4 years of water polo and 3 years of varsity swimming at San Francisco State.
Pretty strenuous.
Yeah.
But you hadn't started running yet?
No, because swimming took everything.
Right. So what year did you start running?
Well, we got married in 1969, and then Tracy was born about 5 years later, and I didn't really do anything, and I weighed about 170 pounds, and I thought, so they had the famous race, the Beta Breakers, so a couple of teachers said, well, let's do it, and so it was there were only like 4,000 people at the time, so we just entered. And I was able to run the whole thing, and we did it for and then there was a group at San Francisco called the Dolphin South End Runners, and they had weekly, Sunday kind of fun runs throughout the city. So I did it, my wife did them. There were a couple of teachers at Cappuccino, and so I really started to do it, and I was getting better at it. So I thought, wow.
And the weight was coming off.
It was down, and then I was asked to join this USA Track and Field Running Club, the Excelsior Running Club, and you had to kind of be invited to join. And these
Right.
guys were top, and so I'm a lifetime member of that group, and so I used to run and train with those guys. But before that, too, there was a running store in Burlingame across from Burlingame High School football field called Runner's Feet. And a famous Burlingame Obie, Steve O'Brien, was the manager. And they used to have workouts on Tuesday and Thursday night. And Tuesday was a road run anywhere from 6, sometimes it was 10 miles.
Right.
And they'd have like 30 people show up.
Yeah.
And then Thursday was a track workout. So all the top local runners would come out and
Inspire you, motivate you.
And then with the Excelsior, I just went another direction.
Wow, that's
Got
terrific,
serious.
man. That's,
But the miles,
yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about you seeing me running to Cappuccino.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk about that
Okay,
at the end
okay.
because it's a great memory for me.
Okay.
It's a wonderful memory for me. So, do you ever see Steve O'Brien? Do you ever see Obie anymore?
Yeah, I take yoga at, now it's called J8 Yoga, but for over 20 years it was Bean Yoga in the Burlingame Plaza.
Is that like hot yoga or something?
Well, it was hot, gentle, and Obie used to encourage everybody that he knew to take it.
Oh, I know that.
And so he would take us. I said, okay, finally, when I retired, Obie, and he would pay for your introduction. I think you paid $25 for a month, and that you
Wow.
could go to, and he would take you. And so I've been hooked. I've been doing it ever since. And over the pandemic things, and now he goes back to this yoga. He takes the hot classes at
Great.
the yoga. So I see him maybe once a week.
Wonderful. Give him my best. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So you've run everything from marathons to ultra marathons, and ultra marathon is over 50 miles. Is that
No,
correct?
over a marathon. So at 50 kilometers, 50 miles and above. So I ran one 50-mile race and maybe 8 50-kilometer runs.
Wow.
And almost 100 marathons.
100 marathons.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've swam from Alcatraz to San
Yes.
Francisco. How many times?
Well, it was a race called the Alcatraz Challenge. And so you swam 1.5 miles, and then it was a 10-mile run from Aquatic Park. And then later the transition was Crissy Field. And so you ran out to the Golden Gate Bridge, up to the bridge, across the bridge to the viewpoint on the north side, and back again. It was 10 miles. So I did it 6 times.
Yeah.
As a
6
40-year-old,
times.
50-year-old, and 60-year-old.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when you were on Alcatraz, did they take you out to Alcatraz
Yeah,
and
what
you
you
swam
did was,
back?
when it was, the transition area was Aquatic Park. You went there, you set your stuff up along on the beach, and then you would walk down like 3 blocks to the ferry, the red and white ferry boat at Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
And you'd have your wetsuit on, and you'd get on the boat, and they would take you out somewhere. It depends. The Coast Guard would have to give clearance, and they'd anchor right off Alcatraz.
Yeah.
And they'd turn off the motor, and you would line up at the door, and the captain would blow the horn, and you'd jump off and just start swimming.
Man, that amazes me, and that just really amazes. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you this question about
Yes.
Alcatraz. How long would it take for you to swim in?
You know, I couldn't. I was looking at the record. It was, I'd say around 40 minutes.
Yeah. So in the early 60s, there was like an escape from
Yeah,
Alcatraz,
yeah.
and they made a film out
Yeah.
of it with Clint Eastwood
Yeah,
and all of that
yeah.
kind of thing, right? So a couple of, I think 3 convicts
Yeah.
tried, 2 maybe got killed, died or something.
Yeah.
But one, they never heard whatever
Right,
happened.
correct.
Do you think a prisoner
No.
could have made it?
No, if you remember, like the present members, the Bay Swimmers, the Dolphin Club, South End Rowing Club, they all swim without suits, wetsuits.
They swim without wetsuits, man.
Because they're used to it. To run after, I always had to wear the wetsuit.
Yeah.
But these were people that trained, and they could do it. But some prisoner that was stuck it out, no way.
No way. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to settle with that one. Thank you.
Okay.
I've always wondered about that,
Okay.
right? So all this running and swimming that you've done, and what do you get out of it physically, mentally, and even spiritually after all these years?
It's relaxing too. It sounds like it. I mean, when I ran, I would run hard twice a week and do 1 long run, and the rest were like just easy days. And when I averaged like close to 70 and 80 miles a week forever. But I never listened to headphones. I would just kind of like, it was like meditation. You could just relax, think about things.
Because I was going to ask you, where's your head on a 26-mile run, man? Yeah.
But I was always training for running to race. So everything, like when it was hard, we'd do a track workout or like a tough road run. It was all to race because you had a goal to do well in the race.
Right. When you were doing all of these marathons and things like that, were you still swimming?
No.
Swimming kind of went away for a while.
Except when the Alcatraz Challenge came up with, it was always like during the summer.
Right.
So I would start and I would run to Coyote Point every day, and then I would, around Coyote Point, I'd run maybe 8 miles, 4 miles or so, then I'd swim. Then I'd put my shoes back on the beach and then run some more and go home.
Yeah. So then you got away from swimming for a while then?
Yes.
Yeah. When did you actually start getting back into it?
Well,
the last year or
two? At the pandemic, I ran, but I didn't train because there were no races.
Right.
Then it was over. I tried again. Our Pacific Association has a Grand Prix throughout the year of road racing, and anywhere from a mile to the marathon. And I tried it, and I just couldn't get back into it. And I thought, I could still run, but it's not fun.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not swim? And we had Burlingame Aquatic Club. So
when did you stop running officially?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And you're walking from Lexington. You're home on Lexington here in Burlingame.
Yes.
And you're walking over to Coyote Point. Right?
Yes.
And then you just kind of
swim,
do your thing,
run home.
How long are you in the water when you're swimming there?
Anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. Do you swim anywhere else? But I mean, do you still go up to San Francisco and swim with those guys or anything like that?
No. See,
besides the pool, it's just Coyote Point, correct?
Yeah. And I do. I'm a member of the USA Masters and then the Burlingame Aquatic Club Masters.
Right.
I don't do the coaching workouts. I just do the lap swimming. But in the summer, I do open water swims.
Yeah.
They're at Lake Tahoe, Donner Lake, Lake Berryessa. And
wow.
So it's like a race. It's competitive, but it's fun. You open water.
So our city manager, Lisa Goldman, does the same thing. She does open water swims as well. She's done. Have you ever met her or swam with her by any chance?
No.
I'm going to give you 2 more names, okay? How about Bob Crum? Bobby Crum, you ever know that name?
I know that name, but I can't remember.
Right, he ran with you probably at one time.
Oh, Bobby Crum, yes.
Right, Bob Crum, right?
Yes.
Okay. And how about Bill Frisbee?
Bill Frisbee was... he worked for the San Bruno Rec. He graduated from Cappuccino.
Correct.
He used to take yoga.
Right.
And once the pandemic, he started going to yoga at a different studio.
Yeah, but he was one of those long-distance runners as well.
Yeah.
Right. I was killing myself to remember that name from Cappuccino, All right, Allan. You mentioned yoga, which is great, but what's your secret to this longevity as a runner, man, and a swimmer? I mean... are you doing besides yoga? Are you on a special diet? Are you taking supplements?
No, I mean I just try to eat healthy, keep my weight down, and as I tell people that are running and walking on my daily, I say the most important thing is just being out here. You just can't sit around. There's days like you don't feel like getting out of there.
Yeah.
You say get out, and once you leave the house, you feel better. Like I've never gone on a run or like going swimming and said, oh, I'm not going to do it, and turn around and go home. So once you're out there, you just do it.
Just go ahead and do it, right?
Yeah.
Have you had any injuries or surgeries over the years?
No, I had, I got orthotics from a podiatrist because I pronate and the outside of my knee, the tendons were hurting. Once I got those, I had one... they were kind of cheap plastic at first.
Right.
I had a new pair made. That was it.
So you never had any plantar fasciitis or anything like that? No Achilles issues?
As long as I used to buy, our club was sponsored by various shoe stores over the years and shoe companies. So I would buy like 4 pairs of shoes and I'd keep track in my training log how many miles each pair had. And when they reached a certain, I'd wash them and recycle them because it was they'd lose their cushioning. They'd look fine, but so that was part of it.
What's the rule of thumb after 500 miles? Or is it less than
I
that?
would do like 700.
Yeah.
It's the cushioning, the white part. It's not the sole, but it loses its cushioning ability.
Right. I noticed that you're cruising around in Hoka's lately. Is that true? Did I notice
The what?
Hoka shoes?
No, right now I just buy. For years, our running club was sponsored by New Balance.
Okay.
And so they used to give us, and so I just wear New Balance.
So you're still in New Balance.
Yeah.
So the Hoka, I was thinking of something else.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a New Balance guy. That's a USA company.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Does Chris and your daughters swim or run on a consistent basis?
The daughters, as adult, Tracy has 3 kids. Aaron has 2. They run regular. They try to run regularly. They've each run. Aaron ran probably 5 marathons. Tracy ran 1. But like on the weekends, Aaron runs every day. She gets up early before school and runs just for fitness. And Tracy would try to fit it in, but she's got a group of friends in Menlo Park, and they get together and do trail runs on the weekend.
Did you ever do runs with them?
Pardon?
Did you ever do runs with your daughters?
Yeah. I mean, I paced Aaron in 3 marathons. She and I ran 3 marathons together.
Oh, what fun, huh?
She just set the pace, and she just wanted to finish.
Yeah.
And so...
what are some of the races that you have run over the years, besides all of them?
Well,
I mean, give me some highlights of some of these runs.
I mean, I used to... Every year I could qualify in the sub-seeded group of the Beta Breakers.
That's the guys that sit way up front, right?
You were like in the second or third row.
Yeah.
And I would always finish in the top 100. This was in the days before they had chip timing. So they would do the gun, and there used to be people, like especially in Golden Gate Park, that would just start there. They had an official number, and they would just come across, and it was a fun thing, but I would always try to finish in the top 100.
Man.
And then I ran the Boston Marathon 5 times.
And that one you have to qualify for,
that
right?
was, in those days, an open man under 40, you had to break 250 for the marathon. And the field was only about 8,000 people. So we would go back, guys from my club, and we would start like in the 3rd or 4th row. And now there's like 40, 50,000 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I loved the Beta Breakers when it was, and then my favorite was part of our Grand Prix was the Humboldt Half Marathon. It was up in by Benbow, the Avenue of the Giants.
Yeah, but that's hilly, isn't it? Isn't it hilly up there?
No, this was totally flat.
Flat. Okay.
And we'd go up we'd drive up on Saturday and run the race on Sunday and stay at the Benbow Inn.
Oh.
And it was beautiful.
It had to be. Those redwoods are amazing.
The old Redwood Highway.
Yeah.
So,
wow. How about New York or Chicago? Did you ever run those?
They were too big.
Okay, San Francisco.
Oh, and I ran San Francisco probably 15 times.
Wow. Best time ever. It
was 2:31. I could not break 2:30.
Yeah.
And I knew I had it in me, but the marathon, you just never know what it's going to be like that day. The weather could be bad. You just may not feel. And I'll never forget, it was the California International, which I tell people is the fastest marathon course. It runs from Folsom to the state capitol. It's flat. It's basically downhill, long straightaways. And I ran with a guy in my club that I knew we could break 240. He did. And at the last aid station, I said, I need to get water.
Yeah.
So he just grabbed, and he said, I'm not taking any. And I lost track of him, and I ended up in 2:31. He ran 2:28.
Yeah, wow.
And I always thought...
How old were you when you did that?
Well, I was 38. I was...
Man, that's flying though, huh?
Yeah, that's like...
What's that average a mile?
That's about 5:46 a mile.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're one of those guys, Obi used to always tell us when we were training for a marathon, as you come to the aid station, go ahead and slow down and walk through it.
Yeah.
You didn't do any of that.
No. You just
put your
grab
hand
something.
Out, get it, and
because
go.
You didn't want to...
Right. Can't sacrifice the seconds.
Stop. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's great. Okay. I think we talked about a group of the guys that you ran with. We mentioned Frisbee, and Bobby Crum, and of course Obi and all that. Do you still see them once in a while? You see Obi, right?
Obi. There used to be a big group at the Runner's Feet, so every local runner would come by.
Yeah.
And the best runner was by far from Burlingame, still lives here on Cortez Avenue, Joe Becerra. He was in my Excelsior running club.
Was he a Burlingame High guy?
No, he went to St. Ignatius in the city.
Okay.
And then he taught for years at Burlingame Intermediate.
Okay.
And then later he was the director, like the media director for the County Office of Education.
Wow.
But Joe ran at San Francisco State, where he was All-American. And he was like in the state of California, he was the second best Masters runner. He was like a pioneer. And so he used to run, and then there were legends like Homer Zugelder, who was a longtime counselor.
Plus a coach, basketball coach.
Oh, yeah, the gym at Hillsdale is named after Homer.
Right.
And he used to come, and in fact, Homer would put on a holiday around the holidays, a runner's breakfast. And sometimes we'd have like 75, 80 people. He used to have it at the old Lions restaurant on El Camino Real, I think on the corner of El Camino and Murchison.
I remember it
And he
well.
would take over the back room. And so there was a big, and then around here in Burlingame, Al Tripp.
Oh yeah,
That
was Obie's.
That was just a whole group.
Was that Obie's father-in-law, Al Tripp?
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was
Had a great
quite
group.
a group. Yeah.
So the gentleman you just mentioned a minute ago, Joe
Becerra.
does he still live in Burlingame?
Yeah, he still lives here on Cortez. He doesn't run anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll see him once in a while around.
Right. But he went to SI.
Yes, and then San Francisco State.
Great. Did you know him at State?
Pardon me?
Did you know him at San Francisco
No,
State?
he was older.
Okay. All right. So in your eyes or observations, how do you think the running scene around Burlingame and the peninsula has changed since you first started?
Well, the biggest, after the Runner's Feet store closed, the Larson's family, Keith and Sean Larson, took it over, and they called it Magic Sport Runner's Feet. And they kept it going. In other words, the training runs and everything. And then it closed. And then a running store in Burlingame opened up on Howard Avenue, a Runner's Mind. And it was open, cannot think of the family. I coached the daughter.
Montgomery.
Pardon me?
The Montgomery family.
Yeah. And they're still going strong, and they have group runs. They have all sorts of activities, that's kind of, I think, I've stopped running, so I've kind of lost touch with it. But for years, they sponsored our Excelsior Running Club.
They did.
They would get our uniforms. They would give us. So that's really keeping it. But there are no other like running stores in the immediate. There's one in Menlo Park. I think you have to go to Menlo Park to find another
and
one.
Redwood City. I think there's one in Redwood City.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in San Bruno, Billroy, et cetera, until you get up to San
No.
Francisco. Right.
Yeah.
Any favorite running spots around the area, Burlingame, the
Well,
peninsula?
we used to, Chris and I would, she would just run in the morning. So we'd get up at, we'd meet Rob, oh God, I can't think of the name. Rob Alviso and Jim Larson that lived on across from Burlingame High School. And one day they'd come our way and we'd run at Coyote Point. And then the next day we'd go their way and we'd run in Hillsboro. And we all four of us had flashlights. And they're used, especially in Hillsboro, you'd run into maybe 15 runners in the morning.
Yeah.
With flashlights because you could see them coming. And then after I started, by far, my run for like the last 15 years was Coyote Point.
Do you think that, it seems to me back in the day, there was more races going on. Do you think the races have
yeah,
decreased?
because it's so expensive to get permits, insurance. Burlingame, the Lions Club used to put on a race. Oh, the used to put on the turkey trot at Mills High School.
Right.
The Burlingame Rec used to have a track meet during the summer.
Yeah.
And it just...
So that's what's killed it.
It's just so... Unless you have a big-time sponsor, you're not going to... Like some small group just can't do it.
Right. And the entrance fees have gotten a lot more expensive, too.
It's... a 5K now, you're going to pay like $80.
Yeah, they used to be $20,
yeah.
15, 20,
and then
25.
people want a medal for finishing. And the regular runners, we said, you don't get rewarded for you get self-rewarded, but I mean, you're supposed to finish.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole idea of it.
That was the whole idea.
But I mean, so our club used to we had to buy great T-shirts, beautiful medals, and it was so expensive. So anyway.
It was something about getting a T-shirt and a medal, though.
Oh, the T-shirt was perfect.
Yeah.
I think if you ran a marathon, you'd get a medal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My one and only.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you had.
1984.
That's 26 miles. So
4 hours and 23 minutes, Allan.
Well, you did it.
Okay. You were well home by the time I was coming across the finish line. Okay. So anyway, we mentioned 44 years teaching.
Yes.
Starting in 1971.
Yes.
Going back to teaching and coaching for a minute.
Yes.
What did you enjoy most about that whole experience?
Well, they say after the 18 years at Cappuccino, Gordy Young, who was the old football coach at Cappuccino, and then when I started there, he was one of the vice principals. He became the personnel superintendent. So he called me one day, and every school had a class called the adaptive PE class, where kids who couldn't take regular PE for medical reasons. He said, you have to have a credential. So he arranged for me to go to Dominican College with my transcripts, everything. And I got my credential. So for the next 5 years, I was in charge, the only one of the adapted PE program. And so I would travel from different schools. And it was really, in the end, to work with the kids that really had the learning handicaps, it was so rewarding. And it was fun to just be with the kids. And then just to be with kids, it kept you alive and young.
Keeps you young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I equate that to my years in the grocery business. I was getting older, but it seemed like all my employees were the same age, always
it just
in their
kept
20s.
You up.
That's for the truth. Yeah.
But it was, and I think with the sports, with all the sports, the ones I really enjoyed were the running, because you didn't have to work plays and scrimmage. You just ran. And so if they did runs in the street, I ran with them.
Yeah.
And you would the warm up and before you could talk to the kids. And that's where I really got to know every kid on the team. Because you're with them in the fall cross country and then the spring track. And to me, that was the most rewarding.
Yeah.
So
lessons that you learned from running.
Yeah.
Did you try to pass on some of these to your students and athletes that you coached?
Well, I said that what you really want to do is you're not trying to beat other people. You're just trying to beat yourself to go, you knew what you wanted to do. And it was fighting that voice that said, stop, slow down. And everybody gets it, but you just have to find a way. Over the years, it's just experience, and you knew what to do to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Until you were satisfied, and it really wasn't like what place you finished or what time, but that you did it.
It's finishing.
That was what was satisfying, and that's what I tried to instill. And in fact, in the runners, my main thing was don't just stop when high school's over. Running is like a lifetime thing.
Right.
You can't tell a softball player or a football player, but running, you could say it. You could do, and I had a lot of kids that kept running. I used to see them at races. They were adults, and that made me feel good that they kept doing it.
Yeah.
So,
do you still keep in touch with any former students?
It's been so long.
Right.
But living in the area, I tell you, we go out, like you're shopping, you go out to restaurants, you're walking around, and all of a sudden somebody will come up, Coach or Mr. Stanbridge.
Mr. Stanbridge.
And some you'd recognize and others you didn't.
Right.
I have to ask, what year?
Yeah.
And I said, give me
what
your
high
name.
school?
and most of them were like the Cappuccino, and it was really fun, and to see him and then listen to him, talk about the remembrances, and then it became so.
I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. You mentioned Proposition 13.
Yeah.
That was the cutbacks.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cutbacks in sports, right?
Yeah.
And music
Everything.
and all the other things, everything across the board. But then you also mentioned Proposition 9?
No, just 13 was
13. But what was the thing where the girls started to play?
Oh, it was Title IX.
Title IX, yeah.
Yeah, where they.
So you saw two eras almost. You know what I mean? You saw the
cutbacks. I mean, girls had the GAA, the Girls Athletic Association, and they used to have play. I forget what it was. They would have other schools come over and they would play like volleyball, and it was just kind of recreation, and then they'd have snacks after and everything. And there were a lot of girls that were really competitive. It was, and so when Title IX came, they had what they have today. They had volleyball, they had basketball, they had softball, they had field hockey.
But in order to do that, because the budget could only hold so much, they had to eliminate a sport, a man's sport, a boy's sport, or something?
I can't. No, I mean, I don't think they ever did. They just added.
They added.
They added. So they had to hire coaches, and that was it. But that was
It's amazing.
Especially having two daughters.
Yeah.
I mean, they benefited from it.
Yeah.
And now it's still not totally equal. In high schools, it is. It's totally, the same amount of money, but it's great.
God, the last couple of years they've added touch football for girls' sports.
Well, they had it at
Flag
Cappuccino
football.
when we were there.
Really?
Oh yeah. In fact, Rich Mazzancini and I were going to start the girls' flag football, and the athletic Ernie Schnurfall, and they said, no, we need a basketball coach. So Rich is going to coach with this other guy, and that's how I did the basketball. And then I don't know what happened to. What they added was soccer. Soccer had not come, and so they had girls soccer, and they dropped flag football because it was in the winter.
Got it.
And then this thing just started.
Yeah, it's really
like
snowballed.
5 years ago.
Yeah,
oh my
it's
God,
amazing.
it's the biggest.
And good for the girls, right?
Oh yeah.
Good for the girls.
Yeah.
I did a little research, not just Google and this and that, but I asked a few people in the neighborhood about you. And they described you as being steady, humble, and quietly inspirational. I think that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. How do you see your role in the community today?
Well, I mean, I don't do. I like when I would run, if I would see the same people, like or neighbors, like somebody's outside. After a couple, I always say good morning to people, and then if I saw them in a while, I'd stop and say, "My name is Allan. I live here," and I'd get their names. And in fact, I couldn't. So I had a little notebook that I would carry, and I'd write their names down. And so I had a whole group of like neighbors on my way to Coyote Point. Like I'd go by your house. I never went the same. And so I knew them all. And if I'd see them, I could call. And then we'd talk.
Yeah.
And then I'd see other runners. And they'd say, well, they'd ask me questions, And now when I was going to Coyote Point so often, you'd see like people would come and I'd tell them, well, you got to come when the tide is a little bit high. You don't want to come at low tide where you have to walk way out, cut your feet on the broken shells and I said, you got to come before noon or whatever when there's no wind, so it's not too choppy. And I tell them, okay, the tide is coming in, so when you go this way, you're fighting the tide, and when you turn around and come back, the tide is pushing you. And, just things like that.
It's like running from later in the afternoon if you're over by the golf course and you're coming up from the south to the north. That wind just stands you up. Yeah.
And so just talking to people.
Yeah.
Like I come home and I tell my wife, I said, do you ever do stuff or you just stand and talk the whole time?
Yeah, no. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Socializing. So outside of running and teaching and swimming and I know what I wanted to ask you. You did a lot of swimming and you did a lot of running. What happened to the bike? No triathlons?
I looked into it because people said when I first started they didn't have triathlons.
Right.
And then when I started, they started, and I said, the bike is too dangerous because people used to say in a year you're going to have an incident. You're either going to fall or you're going to get brushed by a car or something. Yeah. And then it was too expensive because if you wanted to compete, those things were, and you had to keep improving. And I said, I don't want to do it.
Right. Okay.
So that was it.
I've often wondered that, right?
No,
Why
that
didn't
was
you
it.
do all three? No, that's good. Good answer.
Yeah.
Okay. So getting back to what I was going to ask you, outside of running and swimming and teaching, do you have any other hobbies or passions?
Well, right now it's going to the 5 grandkids games. We had the oldest, Bridget, played 4 years of volleyball at Menlo Atherton High School, 3 years of varsity. So we would go to 2 games a week. She played on club teams, so we would go watch club things.
They're all over the place, right?
Then James is a sophomore at UC Santa Barbara. He played he first year was gone for the pandemic, but then he played varsity football, varsity basketball, varsity baseball at Menlo Atherton.
Wow.
And Molly played in her freshman year. She was varsity water polo, varsity basketball. In her sophomore year, she added varsity lacrosse. So last year, we would go to three basketball games a week. The girls would play on Wednesday, the boys would play on Tuesday. Then they had a quadruple header on Friday nights. In the fall, we'd go to one football game a week, and Molly would play 2 water polo games. And then Aaron has a 6th and 7th grader, and they play at Our Lady. They go to Our Lady of Angels. So right now they're playing baseball, and they each have 2 games a week.
Yeah.
Then they go into basketball. And then
it just keeps cycling.
So we could
it?
go this week. We're going to 4 games.
Awesome.
This is the only night we don't have a game.
That's a passion.
Yeah.
Talk about the Stanbridge bloodline, man. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Terrific, Allan. That's great. Looking back, at your whole career.
Yes.
What are some of the moments you're most proud of?
Do you say athletics or just the career?
Doesn't matter.
Well, getting married.
Yeah.
And of course the birth of the kids.
Yeah.
Luckily to get a teaching job that I really liked at a place, because it was hard to get a job. I don't know if I mentioned, but when I was a student teaching at San Francisco State, the athletic director got I can't think of his name right now, but he got a phone call. He said, we need somebody to come down to Crestmore High School to be the boys swimming coach. So I was the only guy. So I went down and I taught 5th period PE and coached the swimming team 6th period.
Wow.
And I met Chuck Kent was the athletic director, the department head, all the people. So at the end of the year, there was a job opening at Cappuccino. There was a guy, Pete Pontac, that taught at Cappuccino. He went there. He was the swimming coach, and he wanted to come up to Crestmore, and he was going to be the varsity boys basketball coach. So we switched positions. I got hired at Cappuccino. And prior to that, there was a friend of mine, Bill Smith, that taught and coached for years at Mills High School. Then later he came to Burlingame High School. He got hired as a swimming coach and history teacher at Mills. Well, he didn't know anything about swimming. So I would go down every day and help him coach the swimming team.
Did he also teach tennis?
Pardon me?
Did Bill Smith?
No, he was just strict. And then when he came to Burlingame, he was a counselor.
Yeah.
And Joe Dees was the athletic director over there. So when I was looking at the job, interviewing at Cappuccino, Don Leclerc was the athletic director, the department head. He called Joe Dees. He said, I got this guy, Stanbridge, would you hire him? And Joe Dees said, in a minute.
Terrific.
And that's how I got it.
Yeah. You mentioned Pete Pontac.
Yeah.
He went on to be some kind of prolific
Yeah,
community
oh my
college.
God. Well, after that, he went to
Basketball,
Skyline.
Right? Yeah, Skyline became huge.
But he
up
was... He knew he had Jimmy Johnson was the coach at Cappuccino,
Yeah.
so Pete wanted to move right, and a job opened up at Crestmore, and he went up there, and he coached the boys swimming and boys basketball, and then all of a sudden Skyline opened up, and that's where he spent his career.
I'll say you've had a very rewarding career.
Yeah, that's been
sports-wise, but family-wise, with your children, your girls, and
well, they
and
still
your
live around here
grandchildren.
now. My wife would go
Isn't that great?
crazy if we didn't.
But what an adventure, Allan!
Yeah,
just what an
it's
adventure.
been fun.
And before we close out, well, let me just ask you this: What's next? Do you have any race? Do you race anymore? Is there any swimming races? Or
no, I mean every year I hope to do the open water races and just keep going.
Just keep going, right?
That I feel good. You know, like I always tell Chris, we wake up in the morning. That's the best thing.
So before we wrap this up, I do want to tell one story.
Okay.
I had, this goes back to 1971. I had just graduated from Long Beach State. And anyway, I went to work for my dad. He had a little store in Millbrae called Cappuccino Market, just down the street from Cappuccino High, right? But every day we would drive, he would pick me up in Burlingame and we would drive together, which was terrific.
Yeah.
But we would come down California Drive, and I would see this guy with a backpack, right?
Yeah.
Running.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's cool. First few days, it didn't matter to me, right?
Yeah.
But then I'd see it on a consistent basis, and I often wondered, I wonder where he's going, right? And then, I don't know what happened, but I found out that you were landing at Cappuccino,
Yeah.
but then you would, after school, you would just boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
run back home, right?
Yeah.
So that was about a 12-miler round.
No. The most direct was 4.5 miles. The most direct way.
But so it's an 8-mile round trip, right?
9 miles.
9 miles round trip every day, 5 days a week,
Yeah.
I think, huh? I'll never forget that.
We moved from San Francisco, and we only had the one car, and Tracy was like in kindergarten. So I said, well, I'll run. We had a coach's locker room. They had towels. And at the time I was teaching English. And so I would keep pants, shoes, belt, ties. And then every day I would pack my breakfast, lunch, shirt, underwear, socks, papers, put it in the backpack. And that's the way.
What did that backpack weigh, more
I
or
don't
less?
even know.
And then I had to be 5 pounds at least, maybe more.
It didn't make any,
Yeah, you were doing what they call the vesting thing now, or whatever that thing.
And when it rained, I had a poncho.
Yeah.
And I just had to make sure that the backpack stayed dry, because that was my lunch, my breakfast. So I would run there every day, and I'd get there. I forget what time school started. So I would go up to the faculty room and start the pot of coffee.
Right.
And then go down, take a shower, shave, get dressed.
And how many years did that go on for?
Oh, God. For the whole almost the whole time I was a cap.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Round trip, 5 days a week, folks.
And then when I wasn't coaching, which wasn't very often, then I would add on to the so I'd run 4.5 miles in the morning. So in the afternoon, I would add on. So sometimes I'd add on more, and I'd end up like 10 miles.
Yeah.
So to run
amazing,
like 80, 90 miles a week, you had
That's like the story of the parents walking through the snow, right? I walked 3 miles to school in the snow, blah, blah, blah. But you were running it, man. That's a great story. All right, Allan, it's time for shout-outs to family, friends, and colleagues.
Well, just my wife, who's been supportive of this.
56 years of marriage?
Yeah.
56.
Yeah. We met as sophomores at San Francisco State. We were in a some class in the afternoon, and she came in with a couple of her. She went to Mercy High School in San Francisco, same year, spring '64. We graduated, and so she come in and she saw me and she said, "I'm going to make sure I sit." She always saved the seat right next to me.
Terrific.
So we started going out, and so that was 4 years of or 3 years of college, 2 years of. Like, she was a teacher, I was a teacher, and we graduated. And in 1969, we got married.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays,
Amazing.
I thought, oh my God, 5 years out of high school, I'm married.
You know what? Kathy and I were like 1 year out of college, I think, 73. We graduated in 71. We got married in 73.
Yeah.
But I get it, man.
The two girls, they've been, they take care of the old man. If I if I step out of line, say the wrong thing, or if I wear something, they say, get rid of that thing.
Dad, it just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So anyway.
It's funny to be that age now, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
But we made it, Allan, and that's great. And if you don't mind, I would like to dedicate this particular show to a friend that we both know, longtime Burlingame resident, a longtime Cappuccino High cheerleader, whatever you want to call him. The field is named after him, and a longtime guy down here at Burlingame High School, the great Carl Reyna. I think this show's dedicated to Carl the Carrot, and his woohoo and all that, and terrific guy. And I know a lot of our listeners will remember him, and it's just an honor for, he's just a terrific guy.
Yeah.
So, Allan Stanbridge, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Mark. It was a pleasure.
My pleasure,
all right.
Allan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to thank the amazing Allan Stanbridge for being my guest today on A Burlingame. It's a small town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. I have one correction to make. I mentioned that a Runner's Mind on Howard Avenue in Burlingame was owned by the Montgomerys, when in fact it is locally owned by the Kelleher family. Thanks to my Minister of Podcasts, Mike Nagler, Executive Producer, Shelby Lucchese, Director of Marketing and Social Media, Adrian Lucchese, and original music by Bray. This podcast was written and edited by Mark at the Mic and recorded on Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 at the Burlingame Public Library. The Burlingame Historical Society copyrights this program, and no part can be copied and replayed without the written consent of the Burlingame Historical Society. Be sure to look for my next episode of A Burlingame It's a Small Town podcast, when my guest will be longtime Burlingame resident Lynn Herrick. So until next time, everyone, see you around Burlingame. It's a small town.